On HaloOnline.com, I'm Meredith Gansman, joining you today from the Legal Beat and bringing you a brand new series to profile lawyers called On the Line. With me today is Jonathan Shechter. You're my first guest. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, Jonathan, so talk to me about your background as an attorney and what brought you to your current venture that you're working on today and the inspiration that's behind that.
I actually went to college and studied business and economics. But I knew that I didn't want to finish that and actually end up in a very standard investment banking type of job, a finance type of job. I knew that I wanted to do something that would be much more dynamic and actually have a play between several different fields. So when I finished university, I went to law school, where I actually focused in corporate law. During my third year, I started working as a law clerk at a firm called Sickenzie Ross Friedman Ferentz, where I'm still at today. The firm focuses in the corporate and security space. We primarily represent mid-cap and micro companies, some that are seeking to raise money, some that are seeking to go public, and so it seemed to really be a good fit for me because it really has a great mix between business and law.
When was it that you knew that you could mix the business and the law and come up with an area and a career that it was what you wanted? You talked about how business wasn't going to be what it was and how you found law. So when was it that you combined the two?
Right. I think I really knew it towards the end of my law school career, where I was, at that time, I've been a law clerk for about a year. At that point, I really got to see, and working closely with the partners of the firm, working closely with the clients of the firm, I really got to see the day-to-day activities of these companies and what they go through and what their thought process is when making a decision, whether it's an acquisition or whether it's a financing. And I really got to banter with them about that and see what's in their minds and what their thought process is when evaluating an opportunity. And that's when the play really hit me, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so I stayed on as an associate when I finished law school.
So now I want to talk about your work in developing your new group and really breaking out into the entrepreneurial side and business side of law and what you practice.
So the point of the group is really to facilitate between U.S. and Israeli transactions. Much of what we do involves working with private Israeli companies and assisting them in the process of becoming publicly listed in the United States. These are typically companies that are development stage companies. In Israel, there's what are known as incubators, which are really facilities to assist Israeli entrepreneurs, Israeli scientists in developing a product within Israel, and it's actually under the Israeli ministry. It's actually a governmental unit that really helps them financially, helps them within getting a space to really work on their products in order to develop these products. So the companies we work with are at a later stage than that. It's typically companies that have a product that's near commercialization or is just starting commercialization, and our role is to really help them do capital raises in order to fund their companies. It's to assist them in the registration process of becoming publicly listed in the United States. And that's the grunt of what we do. One of the lesser obvious challenges is really the cultural challenge. In other words, you're working with a group of Israelis, perhaps a group of Europeans, a group of Americans. Everybody says things differently, everybody operates differently, and one of the biggest challenges is really being able to coordinate between all these parties. There's linguistic challenges. Sometimes emails get written and their intent is one, but really they convey something else.
What would be the best advice you could give to an attorney looking to grow into a leadership role?
Find a mentor. I've had a couple mentors that I've looked to in my career I pick the traits that I think that each one has and what they do great, and certainly don't try to mimic it, because you can't become what somebody else is, but you can look at it and you can try to find your common denominator with it and try to build on that.
Whether you can wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a leader, well, now you have to wake up and say, I am a leader. So talk to me about the qualities that you possess that others will learn from, and what are those that you're working on and continuing to learn to do better?
I think probably the most important one is communication. That's always going to be what most great leaders, I think, would tell you. because as a leader, it's really your job to make sure that everybody that's looking to you for guidance understands what they need to do and what they're being guided towards. It makes it extra challenging in international transactions where you do need to be able to speak to other cultures in a way that they can understand. And so communication would probably be the first thing I'd say. Patience is the next. Different people work within different time limits. Each one has their own pace and the one they feel comfortable with. So certainly having the patience and the ability to say, you know, here's a deadline or here's a time limit within which you need to operate, you know, get it done by this date, and being able to, you know, being able to facilitate that as well. And I think that for the most part being personable. I mean, you know, we're talking about companies, but companies are made up of people. So, you know, being personable and liking to work with people, that has to be part of the gig. That has to be something that people like to enjoy doing when being a leader.
Thank you very much for joining me today, Jonathan. This has been On the Line. We'll see you next time from Law Line's Legal Beat.